On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Freedom is something that many of us need to remember and need to be able to pass down to our kids. And right now, there is a lot at stake, and there's a lot of efforts right now that are trying to take away our hopes of freedom, our chances of freedom, and any opportunity at freedom that we once had. Now, many on the left are actually not fond of freedom. They actually want to, in a lot of cases, be told what to do. Have the state say, hey, here's what's best for you, and do it. And if you don't do it, well, we'll force you to do it. And a lot of people on the left, they like that. They don't want to have to think too much. They don't want to have to figure things out. They just kind of want to be told what to do and just live in this wonderful utopia. The problem is, these people really are not very trustworthy. When we look back on the endless wars that have been happening, we look back on how poor the economy's been doing in general, look back at the imbalances between China and everything else. We look back at how things have played out in the world, how there seems to be two tiers of justice, how certain people can seem to get away with anything they want, while other people that maybe are on a different thought spectrum or maybe a little more fond of freedom aren't allowed to do these kinds of things. And what's funny is right now they're spending huge amounts of effort to divide us amongst each other because, of course, divided, we are weak. United, we are strong. This wonderful guy, Fred Hampton, died recently, I think. But certainly, the Black Panthers, one of the leaders of the Black Panthers, but oddly, was one of the leaders of the Black Panthers that were uniting everybody, all races, against the elites. Now that is actually something that I think a lot of us could get behind, which is why his life was taken from him. You can't have people of color talking about how it's not a color issue, but it's the fact that we need to unite. It's a unity issue. So one of his quotes, and he's got another one that's awesome, I'll go right to next. Black people need some peace. White people need some peace. And we are going to have to fight. We are going to have to struggle. We are going to have to struggle religiously to bring about some peace. Because the people we're asking for peace are a bunch of megalomaniac warmongers, and they don't even understand what peace means. He had one other fantastic quote. Why do they want to get rid of me is one thing he asked. Because I'm saying something that might wake up some other exploited people. And if all these people ever get together, then these pigs that are exploiting us will be running to the lake. A lot of us have realized that we've been exploited through our high taxes, through these ridiculous amount of taxes, frankly, that we pay, and we don't really see any benefits from it in society or around us. We see these politicians that are in political life forever, and they get richer and richer, and their families get richer and richer, and we hear about all this stuff, but nobody ever helps us out. How about things like this? Coca-Cola paid scientists to downplay how sugary beverages fueled the obesity crisis. This is one of the things that happens very commonly right now. Doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. When it's this control aspect, you get companies, large companies, that will pay gobs of money to essentially change what the public perception is of a product. So they wanted to evaluate the extent to which Coca-Cola tried to influence research in the global energy balance network, as revealed by correspondence between the company and leading public health academics obtained through the FOIA requests. The conclusion: Coca-Cola sought to obscure its relationship with researchers, minimize the public perception of its roles, and use these researchers to promote industry-friendly messaging. More robust approaches for managing conflicts of interest are needed to address diffuse and obscured patterns of industry influence. This problem is one example. So is climate. So is all of these things that the left is very fond of, right? All these things that they're very fond of. They want you to just give them a pile of money and, hey, we'll make all these problems go away. When the reality of it is we need a little more say because we've got companies that are not letting better technologies come out. Great example, they had carburetors that got 100 miles to the gallon back in the 70s. What happens is energy companies, be it oil or whatever, buy these patents, stick them on a shelf, never let them see the time of day. Why? Because a car that gets 300 miles to the gallon isn't nearly as profitable as a car that gets 20 miles to the gallon. If you're an energy person and you're selling energy, you have no desire to see efficiency occur because that's going to cut into your bottom line. One of the other sort of things that we're seeing nowadays that are a little annoying. So this guy is unfortunately black owned, puts a sign outside his U-Haul truck, his U-Haul business, puts a sign out that says black owned. And what happens? They burn it down. The Black Lives Matter group burns it down. Now, the sign says Black Lives Matter, but it obviously doesn't, does it? If what the left was saying, and I don't blame just the left, I think this is all part of this control spectrum that's happening, this whole control thing that's happening, that they're losing control and they're freaking out. So if Black lives really did matter, then wouldn't this gentleman that had a business that was black owned, wouldn't that have mattered to Black Lives Matters? You'd think, but apparently it doesn't. What about the small black children that got shot? Do their lives matter? It seems they don't. And oddly, it seems like a lot of these Antifa, quote, Black Lives Matter people running around are oftentimes not even black, which is kind of strange in and of itself. So again, this weird moral issue that we've kind of got facing our country right now. Now, oddly, the people on the left consider themselves to be the moral superior people, the moral authority. They actually think they are the beacons of truth when it comes to morality. Yet they're doing some of the most horrific things. They're supporting violence in the streets. They're supporting people actually causing harm and death to people that support the other side of the party. You've got people like Maxine Waters that have said, get in their face and do it. You've got people on the left that are promoting violence, that are promoting causing problems with our election so they can cause chaos and pandemonium. And it's getting worse. What's really funny, if you think about it, Donald Trump, as a president, has helped our economy. He's helped jobs. He's helped peace and bring more peace and create peace deals. He's gotten us out of bad deals like the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, the Climate Accord, all these different things. He's gotten us out of a lot of these very bad deals that were super expensive to us. He's lowered drug prices. He's brought the Fed within the Treasury. He's got new trade agreements, Mexico, Canada. We've got some other agreements going on, the China one. Who knows what's going to happen? We've got new alliances, speaking of which, against China specifically. But Australia was already an alliance, but now we've got Japan that's kind of over there. We've got South Korea that's getting involved. We've got Hong Kong, and we're creating very interesting little alliances over there in the South China Sea, which Beijing is not too happy about. And we've also got a much tougher stance on China, taking down Huawei and all these different things. This is stuff that President Trump has done that I don't think, no matter how you slice it, you can really honestly look at and say this is a bad thing. Now, I've called out some of my friends on the left and basically made them admit that there's aspects of this that are, not bad. But when you look at Pelosi, when you look at Schumer, when you look at anybody right now on the left, when you look at the media, when you look at everybody that talks about what's happening today, every single thing Trump does is horrible. 100% horrible. When has that ever happened in your life? When in your life have you ever seen a political party that 100% of everything they do is bad? Literally. And a lot of people are like, well, right now, have you seen Trump? Trump's this, Trump's that. Well, that's what they're saying. I get that. But what it's really starting to feel like is the media is trashing him every chance they get. The establishment's trashing him every chance he gets. Why? Because he stands against the things that the media are trying to do, the left are trying to do, the deep state is trying to do. He stands against those things. He stands for us American people. Again, Coca-Cola doesn't give a crap about you or me or our health. Coca-Cola wants to sell more cans of Coca-Cola. It's all that matters to them. So what's kind of sad that's going on, and this is one of the things that's starting to get a little frustrating for many of us. We've got situations right now where people are being confronted by rioters, protests, violent thugs who are literally causing harm and damage to buildings and homes. People are kind of starting to get a little sketched out. Second Amendment followers are trying to, within their legal rights, defend their property, defend persons, and they're running into some problems. Now, I will say, one of the things for anybody out there if you get stuck in any of these situations, be very careful about going outside of your home at all with the firearm. Now, if you're in a legal carry state, awesome. If you're in a state like California where it's not legal to carry outside anywhere, you best not step outside your door. We have castle doctrine inside your home. Outside your home, you start running into a lot of problems. And this poor gentleman commits suicide because he was basically getting railroaded with manslaughter for defending his bar, his business, from criminal rioters. Problem was he went outside the business. Inside the business, you've actually got a lot of rights, surprisingly. Outside of the business, not so much. So this individual ended up taking his own life because of the guilt, because of all the things, because probably people were being mean to him, probably getting all sorts of abuse. And this was just someone trying to defend his business from vicious people on the left that just want to destroy things, and that we can't seem to get anybody on the left to support us. Where are they? Where are these mayors and governors that are supposed to defend us, supposed to make sure our streets are safe? Where are they? They're nowhere to be found. So again, we keep talking about how everything Trump does is horrible. Doesn't matter what he does, where he goes. Anytime anybody doesn't necessarily agree with that, well, it just becomes like the biggest, like, how could you possibly not agree that Trump is the most horrible, evil, wicked person on the planet? And here's Papadopoulos. I think that's his name. I hope I got that right. Either way, here's this guy having another discussion here about the same kind of thing where he's trying to pin all these individuals, McMaster, down onto this, like, you hate Trump. And McMaster's like, no, right now I think we need a little bit different message. Let's check out what he's saying.
You write that educated citizens best serve our democratic system by, quote, electing principled, thoughtful leaders and holding them accountable to strengthen our republic. You were closely with President Trump for 13 months. Is he the kind of principled and thoughtful leader you had in mind? Has he strengthened our republic? Right, but you lay out the criteria. You lay out what you saw. Don't you have a duty to speak out and at least say whether you think the president's the kind of principled and thoughtful leader you think Americans need right now?
Well, you know, I think I have a duty to comment on policy and really what is so important for us, what is most important for us, to secure ourselves against really some very significant threats.
Well, I want to get to the policy part of it as well, but I mean,
he's like, no, we'll talk policy in a second, but I want to get back to throwing mud at Trump. Hang on a second.
I think the reason I want to press this one more time is that you write that our divisions, our partisan divisions, are in some way the greatest national security threat because they make us vulnerable to our allies, like Russia, like China. If that's the #1 threat, division, what's your judgment on whether or not the president has been a unifier or divider? As you know, your colleague, General Mattis, who is the Pentagon secretary under President Trump, said that the president hasn't even tried to unify us. He's tried to divide us. That's a fundamental judgment.
This is one of the things that's the most frustrating to me, by the way, is right here is the divisive comments that are being made. If you watch any sort of number of President Trump's speeches, he talks about unity and bringing us together. The media is one of the single biggest dividers out there. And this guy has just spent a minute. He steered the conversation back into, let's hate on Trump a little longer. You didn't quite answer my question the way I wanted you to the first time. Let's continue back into that same side. Divisive them. When he says fake media, that's what he's talking about. He's not even getting a fair shake. This dude's helped the economy, helped jobs, helped peace deals, gotten us out of bed. I mean, all these things that Trump has done, you can't find one flippin' thing that he's done that's decent. Really? God.
Judgment.
Well, you know, I don't think Donald Trump created the divisions in our society, and I think what all leaders have is a responsibility not to be part of the problem.
And that's exactly it. That's the difference. Being part of the problem or not part of the problem. And right now, the media has played a way larger role in messing with this relationship with our president, with relationships amongst each other. There is so much disharmony, discord, and disunity that is shared by the media that it's absurd. And they're the ones that keep pointing the finger at everybody on the right or at President Trump for being so divisive. It's not him. Here's one more example of CNN doing the same thing.
Let's take a look at what Jesse Waters was saying on Fox News last night, one of the president's most reliable allies on the network. Here's the level of the rhetoric that he was using to describe this fight for RBG's seat.
Mitch, don't overthink this. Push hard for a vote before the election, whip the vote, and pull the trigger. We're dealing with bloodthirsty political killers on the left. Buck up and do your jobs, Republicans.
So, of course, when the right says anything about how the people on the left, bloodthirsty killers, all these things, again, look at the riots that have been happening in the streets. When we hold a mirror up to them, then all of a sudden they're like, wow, all they're doing is dividing. Look at how they're dividing all of us. Again, we'll let them answer, but it's just insane how these people play the game.
Talk about authoritarian and creep. He's talking about Democrats as bloodthirsty political killers, David Zerwick.
You know, I watched that, Brian, last night, and I thought, oh, my God, you know, this is going to be so ugly. We already had 6 weeks ahead of us that were going to be epic in terms of the battle between Biden and Trump, in terms of media, what they were going to do. Then you put this Supreme Court fight on top of it, and then you have the right-wing media. This isn't cheerleading. This is beyond rabble-rousing. This is waving the shirt and calling for blood. And I'll tell you what, Brian, we have to admit, we in the mainstream press have to admit that we are at a disadvantage in this. We were founded and we operate, CNN operates as a journalistic institution. We play by those rules. Fox News, as you...
Literally lying straight to our face. CNN, you're what? The Communist News Network? Huh?
So, you know, as you chronicle in your book so well, Fox News, Breitbart, Daily Caller, many of these right-wing outlets were founded as political tools to aid an ideology and to aid candidates. If your goal is as a political outlet to just simply win, you can lie. You can be just like Donald Trump. You can lie, you can smear, you can libel, you can slander, you can do all that. The goal is to win. We can't do that. We have to think about that.
So it's very interesting because, you know, they talk about how the people on the left and
the rhetoric of war,
you know, so virtuous. The people on the left are so virtuous, so good, so kind, and always looking out for the best of all of us. But it's funny is when you get to this little story here, she's talking about actually trying to maybe throw down some more impeachment gauntlet on Trump if he tries to push through a SCOTUS nomination. Wait, so the people on the right are all about breaking rules, waving flags, trying to start fights, but you virtuous people on CNN and you people on the left, you're so virtuous, you don't do any of these things, right? You're perfect. But right here, she's claiming she's going to try to impeach the president if he tries to approve the SCOTUS nomination, if he tries to push that through. There's three things that the left has to stop. And by the way, I'm going to tease you up a little bit right now. Got 2 Q drops that are coming up at the end of this. So if you guys are looking for some of that, we got some of that coming up. But there's 3 things they're trying to stop people from doing right now. They have to stop the SCOTUS choice. Why? Because this is going to make it borderline impossible for them to be able to do their takeover like they want. Their 16-year plan is falling by the wayside. If one more SCOTUS tends to be in a constitutional SCOTUS, they're done. They're done. That is the final nail in their coffin. They will not have enough people to be able to overturn votes. They will not have enough people that they'll be able to force to vote the way they want to. And they will not have enough people that will break the Constitution in order to push their agenda. They also have to figure out a way to shut everything else back down. Everything has to be shut back down before anything is said and done. And one of the problems is they're pointing this one out already. U.S. is set to pass 200,000 deaths. We're right at that door. So again, this is the second thing that they're desperately trying to shoot down and shut down, because if they can shut us down one more time, they can do the vote by mail. And if they can do the vote by mail, they can cause this whole lag and this whole problem, and all these things can start to happen. And in the minds of these deep state people, they feel like there's a chance if they can make that happen. Now, the other major important part is obviously they've got to keep us divided for another 42 days. They have to keep the infighting going. If somehow we start talking to each other, we somehow start becoming friends again, they are in a world of hurt. These three things have to happen. Now, on the side of the SCOTUS, which I think is very interesting in the bigger picture, Biden says he's not going to release a Supreme Court nominee list before the election. Wait, what? You're not even going to give the people voting for you a chance to know who you're actually going to put in office. Seriously? That's the direction you're going? What is going on with the deep state right now? They either A, truly realize they have zero chance of winning this election. I think there's probably a lot of truth in that. B, they're so arrogant, they think they're actually going to be able to accomplish the plans of taking over the government, or a coup d'etat in every sense of the word. Or truly, they think they can just hide this guy that is incapable of being a president. He does not have the wherewithal. He doesn't even have a list. This should be something that he should pretty easily be able to present. This list should already exist. And it should be full of just, I guess, black women or black and brown women. It should just be full of that, and there should be nothing else on there. But for whatever reason, he's not going to share with us anything. Now, what Trump's basically saying, and I don't know, I love it. I love the fact that it's upsetting people too. I think it's a great thing. Let's get another constitutionalist in there, please. That would be awesome. So far, I think I like what's happening. Now we'll see how it all plays out and if we just get rocked in the other direction post this election. But Trump is going to plan on making the Supreme Court nomination Friday or Saturday. Friday or Saturday. He's waiting until then because Ruth Bader Ginsburg is supposed to have her funeral Thursday or Friday. Now, you know they're going to drag that out. This whole thing is about trying to keep this week blocked up. Notice how every time Q's ever really called out a week and said something was going to happen, the deep state always has a major situation occur. Either riots break out, we have huge fires, we had George Bush pass away, we had John McCain pass away, we've had different killings by police officers that have caused these funeral processions that happen in multiple states. We've had a lot of situations that just magically pop up at all of the most interesting times. So again, this is going to be an interesting week. And again, that was one thing that Q kept talking about, is pay attention to the stories. Because again, there's going to be a lot of stories, a lot of talk, a lot of muscling around trying to see if they can get their situation taken care of, see if they can take advantage of this appropriately. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Now, something that's, I think, very telling, I think Ted Wheeler's in the same sort of situation. Ted Wheeler's the mayor of Portland. As crime soars, furious New Yorkers paint a giant F Cuomo and de Blasio mural on Brooklyn streets. F Cuomo and de Blasio. There you go, guys. Well done. So even the masses are starting to speak in these super left places. Think about it. The mayor of LA right now, not one of the most popular people either. Nunez, I think it's Garcetti in Los Angeles. The governor Nunez he's doing okay. He's actually said some nice things about Trump here and there, but for the most part, I still think he's poorly managing this state. We'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, New Yorkers are getting pissed at these super left, super weird people that are, let's take down the cops. Let's be as restrictive. Let's keep businesses shut down. They've ruined so many restaurants in New York because of their heavy-handed actions. And the people are starting to speak out with their peaceful protest and mural. Too bad it's not in front of the Trump Tower, because that'd be cool too, or right in front of Cuomo's apartment. So anyway, let's get into the couple great Q posts that we have. This one's a beautiful prayer, and I just wanted to kind of save these to the end. Normally I do Q stuff up front and early, but this is like a key part of it. And then we've got a cool little video that I think is meant to be a hint for us. Post 4739, let's have a quick prayer. Strengthen my faith, Lord. Forgive my sins so that I may be clean in your righteousness. Make me brave so I can stand and fight the spiritual battles in my life and in our world. Give me your wisdom and discernment so I won't be caught off guard. Together, Lord, we will win, because in truth you already have. While evil still roams, The power of your name and your blood rises up to defeat and bring us victory against every evil planned against us. While malicious actions may disturb us, we use the armor of God you have given us to stand firm. You will bring justice in due time for all the harm and needless violence aimed at your children. Until then, we remain in your presence, aligned with your purpose, and we look to you as our supreme commander and protector. Help us to avoid temptation and deliver us from evil, Lord. You are the mighty one, the one who will ultimately bring all evil to light. With you, Jesus, we are safe. Amen. Beautiful prayers. Thank you for joining me with that. Post 4740, we've got a cool little video being shared with us, and I think it's more metaphoric as always. It's a super cool video. I love it. I always love this kind of stuff. But it's a B-2 stealth bomber dropping a couple ordinances. And I think it's one, super important that it's two pieces of ordnance. And then on top of that, it's the B-2. The B-2 has been common throughout the Q movement for a long time. Stealth, rigged for red, silence. We've got two silent attacks going right now. We've heard about Comey. We've heard about Brennan. We've also possibly had a hint to another third individual. And that I'm just saying strictly off the World Trade Building 7. That's totally speculation on my part, not necessarily Q. Q has definitely hinted at Brennan and Comey. So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe each of these cruise missiles exist for each of them. This is a pretty cool little video, though. I guess there's no noise, so we'll just talk through it. But it does seem odd to me that they leave the doors open as long for a stealth. That's kind of strange because it's very non-stealthy when the doors are open. But it's probably just, testing or doing whatever. But there goes one. Pew! MOP 432. I should have looked up what type of bomb that is. And then a little brakes kick in. And then number 2. Yep, 2 bombs looking for their targets from a stealth aircraft. Have no idea that it's coming, do we? We have no idea, but they sure do go into bunkers, and I think that's also the point. You can hide, and you can run, but we will find you, and there's no place where you're safe. We can even go deep into the dirt. And that's just one example of, I think, where we can do those same kinds of things. There's one more attack. Bada boom. Look at that. Good stuff. It's a shame how much money we've spent and how good we are at killing one another. But that being said, it's still cool technology. B-2 stealth dropping bombs. Let's see if we got anything fresh. Nothing since 4740. Yep. So again, a lot's going on, folks. We need to pay attention to the fact that a lot of good things have happened by this president. Seriously, whether you like them or not, there's been some good things. You have to be able to identify at least one or two good things. And then everything's cool on your part. But if you're one of these people that no matter what he does, he's wrong, he sucks, he's horrible, you're the problem. You are part of the problem. This guy's done some good stuff. And right now we've got everybody and their mother against him. Why? Why is everybody against him? Why is the the media, the politicians, all of the deep state players, everything that ever sort of thought might have kind of correlated with deep state, any of those people are right now hating on Trump. That's probably a good sign. At least in my book, that's how I view it. Let's look out for one another. Let's, again, if we've got someone that's red pilling and waking up, offer that olive branch. Try to bring them in. This is, again, we have to unite. The most important thing we can do is to try to enhance the number of friends that we have going into this election. We're going to do an amazing job, and we're going to continue to do that. And there's still going to be some people on the other side, but the number of awakening people is huge. We are winning this information war. Continue to support these channels. Continue to support these people. Anons, all of the work you guys do, the Oddists, all you guys are doing an amazing job. Let's keep doing it. Let's ride through this. We're going to do this together, folks. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.